Hello everybody, you're watching Channel 1, where in this video I'm going to be testing out one of these small do-it-yourself windscreen chip repair kits. So the other day driving along, I had a stone thrown up by the car in front, which just put these two little chips in my windscreen. I've circled them here to give you a slightly better idea, and again a slightly more close-up version here with them both marked there. In my usual fashion, I just order something cheap off eBay. This is what I ordered, and the kit arrived quite comprehensive really, all sorts of bits and bobs for attaching to the windscreen and the fluid itself. One thing I will note is the fluid is only really enough to do one decent chip. Because I had two small ones, I found a little workaround. But yes, the amount of fluid you get, despite the size of the syringe in the kit, when you follow the instructions, you do pretty much have to use all of the bottle on each chip. But as you can see here, the instructions are quite comprehensive. Not completely intuitive. I think it could have been worded a little bit better and things, but it looks like it should work. The first thing I'm going to do is clean the windscreen. All I'm using is this multi-purpose kitchen degreaser thing. Should get the screen clean enough to work with. Sprayed a little bit on, polished it off. You'll see no difference there, but at least it gives me an idea that the windscreen is clean. Now, because my chips aren't particularly deep, and there is no real cracking around them, despite what the instructions say to use, which is pretty much using, I'll say, this whole bottle, I don't feel I need to. So this isn't a complete representation of what the kit will do, but it should give you some idea of any results that you're going to get. So all I'm going to really use is this pin on the bottom, the fluid, and this protective little film it tells you to put over once you've got the fluid on there. And the first thing to do then, it says, is using the pin, scratch around the chips and the crack, just to break up any of the surface glass or any little flecks that are loose on the windscreen. I did give it a little polish after that, just to remove anything that did come off. And as you can see here, I've got circled, they do become that little bit more visible. Then again, with how small they are, I just grab the windscreen repair fluid and put a little drop in each of the chips. Lay the plastic film over the top, and it says if you have a UV light, a couple of minutes with that, it is a UV cured glue. So yeah, if you've got a UV light, you can run that over it for a couple of minutes. That should cure it. Or alternatively, for 15-20 minutes or so, leave it in the sunlight. Because that is the option I'm going to use, leaving it in the sunlight, I get some sellotape and just tape down the film just to stop the wind getting under it and blowing it away. And then I wouldn't say I forgot about it, but I got on with some jobs in the house, so it was easily an hour or so before I came back to it, and trusted that it was going to be cured in that time. So I peel the sellotape and the film off, and I'm left with this. If you can't see, I have circled here the glue which has spread out over the area of the windscreen, which now needs to be cleaned off. So using the razor blade that is supplied in the kit, I just give a scrape over the windscreen just to make sure there is no build-up of glue on the windscreen. And sure enough, my windscreen comes up looking as flat as it should, and without any real signs of the marks there. I've got my finger on here because if you get it in the right light, you can just about see where they were. I was hoping you wouldn't at all. From the inside, again, in the right light, you can just about make out where they were. Nothing like as obvious as they were originally. But even for something as small as this, I'm kind of wishing I'd followed the instructions completely. Maybe just not put as much fluid in the syringe. But equally, the kit, with how it fits on, I couldn't really have covered both chips with the suction cup that goes on. So I was in a bit of a tricky situation. But it's certainly a lot better than it was. I do think, following the instructions, that it would have done it completely. Can't guarantee it because that is not the result I have. But certainly from the outside, as you look over the car in terms of MOT purposes, and even again looking through the windscreen, they don't stick out like they used to, and as you run your finger over them, you can't really you can't feel them at all. So there might have just been a little bit of air trapped under when I put the fluid on. Either way, it is what it is now. Seemed fairly successful. Did the job, as I say, the majority of the time. You don't even know they're there. And for the price, you know, can't really complain. If you've obviously got insurance cover that covers windscreens, I'd certainly recommend using those over any kits you've got at home. But if you haven't, you know, for less than a tenner and a little bit of time, you've got a good chance of getting a chipped windscreen through the MOT. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this was of some help. Do everybody take care, stay safe. Peace, everybody.